Tonight, when your eyes close, something extraordinary is happening, and most people are completely unaware. While you drift into sleep, your spirit team is gathering around you. They are guiding you, correcting your course, rewiring your emotions, and preparing you for shifts you haven't even imagined yet. You won't see them. You may not remember the signs, and yet everything they do is precise, intentional, and life-altering. What if I told you that every night your future self is being rewritten, and the doors to your highest potential are opening while you sleep? If you've ever woken up with a sudden clarity, a feeling of alignment, or a sense that life just flows differently, that wasn't coincidence. That was your spirit team at work, shaping the path you're meant to walk. Tonight, I'm going to reveal 12 powerful lessons your spirit team teaches you while you sleep, so you can finally understand what's happening behind the veil and how to receive guidance like never before. 1. Sleep is a portal. Sleep is not rest. That idea was planted to keep you unaware of what truly happens when your body shuts down. When your eyes close, you don't disappear, you shift. The thinking mind, the one that questions, doubts, interrupts, finally loosens its grip. And in that moment, something ancient opens, a doorway that doesn't exist in space, but in awareness. This is why sleep feels like falling, because you are leaving one layer of reality and entering another. In the waking world, your attention is fragmented. Noise, identity, memory, fear, all competing for control. But sleep collapses that noise. It simplifies you, and simplicity is the key that unlocks access. Your spirit team does not meet you in chaos. They meet you in coherence. Sleep creates that coherence naturally. As your brain slows, your frequency widens. You stop operating as a body with thoughts and begin operating as awareness without boundaries. Time loosens, distance dissolves, identity softens. That is the portal, not a tunnel, not a dreamscape, a state where information travels without language. This is why you can receive guidance without seeing anything, why answers arrive without questions, why you wake up changed without knowing what happened. You didn't imagine it, you passed through it. And here rests what most people never realize. You enter this portal every night, but very few remain present long enough to receive. The portal doesn't respond to effort, it responds to surrender. The moment you stop trying to control sleep, trying to force rest, force dreams, force meaning, is the moment access stabilizes. Because control belongs to the waking world, the portal opens only when control dissolves. This is also why fear blocks the experience. Fear pulls you back into the body, back into time, back into separation. Calm allows the crossing. That sense of heaviness you feel just before deep sleep, that sips not fatigue, that sips detachment. Your awareness is unhooking from the physical signal. And when that happens, you are no longer limited by your name, your history, or your current situation. You are reachable. This is where guidance enters, not as a voice, not as a vision, but as a shift in trajectory. A subtle correction that changes the path of your life without announcement. Sleep is not where nothing happens. Sleep is where everything aligns. And once you understand this, you will never fall asleep the same way again. 2. You are safe to let go. The first thing your spirit team teaches you is not knowledge, it is safety. Because no guidance can enter a system that is braced for danger. Most people struggle to sleep, not because they are tired, but because their nervous system does not trust silence. Stillness feels unfamiliar. Letting go feels like loss of control. So your spirit team begins there. When you sleep, your body does something your mind resists all day. It releases, muscles soften, breathing deepens, the constant scanning for threat shuts down, and in that shutdown, a message is delivered without words. You are allowed to rest. This is why true sleep feels heavy, not weak. Heavy. That weight is your system realizing it no longer needs to hold itself together. Your spirit team works gently at first. They do not rush insight. They do not flood you with meaning. They teach your body what your mind forgot, that nothing bad happens when you loosen your grip. If you have ever felt yourself drifting and suddenly jerked awake, that was not random. That was the last reflex of control fighting surrender. And every time you allow yourself to sink, instead of snapping back, trust rewires itself a little deeper. This is not emotional comfort. This is biological permission. Once safety is established, guidance can travel freely. Decisions become clearer. Reactions soften. You stop overthinking situations that once consumed you, not because you solved them, but because your system no longer interprets uncertainty as danger. That is the lesson. Your spirit team is not preparing you to escape reality. They are preparing you to move through it without fear. And this is why deep sleep often arrives right before major shifts in your life. New paths require a nervous system that can tolerate the unknown. Rest is the rehearsal. You are not losing control when you let go in sleep. You are learning that control was never protecting you. Safety is the foundation. Everything else comes after. Once your body understands this, your awareness becomes reachable. 3 dreams are filters, not messages. Most people believe dreams are messages sent to be understood. That belief keeps them confused. Your spirit team does not communicate in symbols because they enjoy riddles. They do it because your conscious mind cannot receive raw information without distortion. Dreams are not the message. They are the shield around it. When you are asleep, your awareness is open, but your waking identity is still nearby. It carries beliefs, fears, and expectations. If guidance arrived directly, your mind would interfere. It would analyze, reject, or rewrite it. So the information is wrapped. Images, scenarios, emotions, familiar faces doing unfamiliar things. None of it is meant to be taken literally. The dream is simply the packaging that allows the signal to pass through without being blocked. This is why trying to figure out dreams often leads nowhere. The mind looks for meaning where meaning was never placed. The real transmission already landed quietly underneath the imagery. That is also why the most important dreams are often forgotten. If you remember a dream clearly, it was likely emotional processing. If you wake up feeling changed but can't explain why, that was guidance. Your spirit team knows exactly how much you can consciously handle. They deliver the insight first, then allow the dream to distract the surface mind, while the deeper shift settles in place. This is why answers arrive days later. Why decisions feel obvious without logic. Why something inside you just knows. You weren't set told. You were adjusted. Dream symbols are not instructions. They are camouflage. They keep the conscious mind occupied while alignment takes place beneath it. This is also why forcing lucid control often disrupts the process. Control pulls awareness back to the surface. Guidance requires depth, not dominance. The real message never needed interpretation. It needed integration. Dreams fade because they have done their job. The change remains because that was the point. Once you understand this, you stop chasing symbols and start trusting the quiet clarity that follows. 4. You are being prepared. Preparation rarely feels like progress. That is why most people don't recognize it while it's happening. Your spirit team does not prepare you with instructions. They prepare you with states. Before a shift in your life can occur, your internal environment has to be able to hold it. New paths collapse. Old identities, opportunities demand emotional capacity. Change requires a nervous system that won't panic when the familiar dissolves. So the work begins at night. If your sleep has been restless, vivid, heavy, or unusually deep, something is being arranged. Not outside of you, Inside, your reactions are being softened, your attachments are being loosened, your tolerance for uncertainty is being expanded. This is why you may feel tired without explanation. It's not exhaustion, it's restructuring. During sleep, your spirit team adjusts your internal settings. What once triggered fear begins to feel neutral. What once felt urgent loses its grip. You start to sense that something is coming, even though nothing has changed yet. That sense is accurate. Preparation always precedes movement. This is also why clarity sometimes disappears before it returns stronger. Old answers must dissolve before new direction can settle. Confusion is not failure. It's the space being cleared. Your spirit team never rushes this process. If they did, you would resist the very future meant for you. So they slow you down. They quiet your desire to force outcomes. They teach patience through subtle delays. And then, when alignment is complete, movement happens quickly. What looks like stagnation is often calibration. What feels like waiting is often training. You are not being ignored. You are being readied. And when the moment arrives, you will move with a steadiness that surprises you, because the decision was made long before you were aware of it. That is preparation. 5 time doesn't set exist there. What you experience as time is a rule of the physical world, not a law of awareness. When you sleep, that rule dissolves. Your spirit team does not move forward or backward. They operate from a position where everything is already accessible. Past patterns, future possibilities, and present conditions exist simultaneously, not as events, but as information. This is why guidance can arrive before you need it. You may feel a sudden hesitation that saves you from a mistake you haven't made yet, or a calm certainty that leads you towards something you don't understand until much later. From your perspective, it feels like intuition. From theirs, it's alignment across timelines. Sleep is the state where this becomes possible. As your identity loosens, you stop anchoring yourself to a single moment. Awareness widens. And in that widened state, information does not travel through sequence. It arrives whole. This is also why some nights feel long and others vanish instantly. You are not measuring time. You are stepping outside of it. The clock belongs to the body. Guidance belongs to awareness. Your spirit team uses this state to reposition you. Small internal shifts create large external consequences later. A decision you feel drawn to today may have been calibrated weeks ago while you slept. Nothing is late. Nothing is early. Everything is placed. This is why forcing timing never works. The more you try to control when something should happen, the more you bind yourself to linear thinking. Guidance requires openness, not scheduling. When you wake up with a sense that something has already been decided, that's because it has, just not in the way you're used to understanding. Sleep teaches you this quietly. You begin to trust that events unfold with precision, even when logic can't see it. You stop rushing. You stop fearing delays. You sense that your life is moving according to a rhythm larger than urgency. Time doesn't set exist where guidance comes from. And while you sleep, neither do you. 6. Your emotions are being rewired. Your spirit team does not argue with your thoughts. They work beneath them. Emotions are the true operating system of your life. They decide what feels possible, what feels dangerous, and what feels familiar. And during the day, those emotional patterns defend themselves. They resist change. They repeat what they know. Sleep is when that resistance drops. As your conscious mind quiets, emotional memory loosens. The stories attached to old feelings lose their grip. Fear no longer has language to justify itself. Sadness no longer needs a reason. This is when rewiring becomes possible. Your spirit team uses this state to soften what has been hardened over time. That heaviness you sometimes feel upon waking is not negativity, it is release. Emotional charge leaving the system often feels like weight before it feels like relief. What you are sensing is adjustment, not regression. This is also why you may wake up calmer about things that once overwhelmed you. No breakthrough, no dramatic insight, just less reaction. That is the work. Healing does not always feel like happiness. Often, it feels like neutrality. Your spirit team recalibrates emotional thresholds at night. What once triggered panic becomes manageable. What once felt urgent becomes optional. You begin to respond instead of react, without consciously deciding to. This process is subtle by design. If emotional change were obvious, the mind would interfere, questioning it, resisting it, trying to reclaim the old pattern. So the shift happens quietly, below awareness. You don't notice what sest's gone. You notice what no longer controls you. This is why emotional healing through sleep feels permanent. It wasn't forced. It wasn't analyzed. It was integrated at the level where behavior originates. You are not becoming numb. You are becoming stable. And stability is the foundation that allows guidance to turn into action. 7. You are never visited by accident. You are never alone in sleep, not in the way you imagine. Every presence you feel, every shift you notice, every subtle nudge in your awareness, it is intentional, it is precise, it is you being met exactly where you are. Most people dismiss these encounters. They call them coincidence, imagination, or dreams. They tell themselves it is nothing. They convince themselves that if it cannot be seen, it cannot matter. That is the veil that has kept humanity from remembering its guidance for millennia. But you are awake enough to notice now, and that noticing matters. Your spirit team does not enter your life haphazardly. They do not wander in the dark, hoping to stumble across your attention. You are being sought out. You are being calibrated. Every vibration, every feeling, every subtle awareness that brushes against your consciousness is part of a larger orchestration. Sometimes it arrives as a presence in the room, felt more than seen, a weight on the chest, a warmth in the air, a pressure you cannot explain. You may wake up startled. You may think it is nothing, yet that moment is the alignment of unseen intelligence with your own energy. Other times, it comes as a whisper of thought, a sudden insight, a realization that seems to have no source. You think it is your own. It is not. It is their voice threading into your mind, shaping your trajectory with precision. Every encounter is intentional. Nothing is random. The universe does not leave such moments to chance. Your spirit team does not visit to entertain you, to warn you, or to scare you. They visit because you have already invited them. Every time you sense a presence during sleep, whether in dreams, in deep sleep, or in the moments between wakefulness and unconsciousness, you are being tested, prepared, and guided simultaneously. The presence itself is the message. It is calibration in real time. You do not need to understand it to receive it. You only need to be still enough to allow it. If you resist, if you question too quickly, you block the flow. The mind is a sieve. It filters guidance unless you surrender. That is why so many forget these moments entirely, waking up confused or dismissive, unaware that they have just been touched by intelligence beyond the mind. Your spirit team operates like a master conductor, orchestrating events inside your body and consciousness that ripple outward into your waking life. They place impulses, subtle emotional shifts, flashes of clarity, and sudden alignments into your system with a precision you cannot see but can feel. The shifts are often so subtle that you might mistake them for coincidence. But no ripple in your system is accidental. Think about the times you woke with a solution to a problem you hadn't fully considered, or when a decision suddenly became obvious, as though it had been waiting for you to notice. That was them. They meet you in sleep not to dictate, but to position you. They meet you not to instruct, but to align you with what you are capable of handling in your waking life. Every missed opportunity, every delay you did not understand, every moment of inexplicable hesitation, these are also part of the visitation. They are not punishments, they are interventions. Your spirit team is not here to follow the rules of linear time. They are here to safeguard your growth, your trajectory, and your emergence into who you are meant to become. Do not underestimate the precision of their methods. They know your weaknesses. They know your fears. They know the exact point where resistance is strongest and where surrender is necessary. And yet, they never force you. They nudge. They adjust. They hold space for transformation to occur quietly, imperceptibly, until one day you wake up and realize the shift has already happened. You are never visited by accident because your frequency invited them. Your readiness called them. Every moment of sleep where you felt their presence, even if faint, was a handshake across dimensions. Every subtle movement of thought, every unexpected emotional release, every vivid dream or fleeting insight was a lesson tailored precisely to your path. Most of humanity moves through life oblivious to this orchestration, blind to the forces working beneath the surface. But you are different. You are noticing. You are sensitive. You are receptive. And that sensitivity is your signal. It calls them forward. It opens the doorway. Tonight, as you drift again into sleep, remember this. If you feel a presence, if something brushes your awareness, if the world of dreams seems stranger, heavier, or more alive than usual, it is not random. It is not coincidence. It is a meeting. It is calibration. It is the quiet work of alignment that precedes awakening. Do not fear it. Do not doubt it. Do not try to force it into explanation. Simply receive it. Simply allow it. Simply notice the subtle shifts as they occur. Your spirit team is here. They have always been here. And every night, when you close your eyes, they step closer, guiding, aligning, preparing you for what you are capable of becoming. You are never visited by accident. You are visited because you are ready. And the night, the stillness, the silence, all of it is the conduit through which your future self is quietly being shaped, guided, and elevated. 8. Your body is the anchor. Most people believe guidance happens in the mind. That belief keeps them disconnected. Your spirit team does not anchor insight in thought. They anchor it in the body, because thoughts can be argued with. Sensations cannot. While you sleep, your body becomes the meeting ground between worlds. It is the only structure stable enough to hold non-physical information without distortion. The mind forgets. The body remembers. This is why guidance often arrives as sensation before meaning. A heaviness in the chest when something is not aligned. A warmth spreading through the spine without reason. A sudden relaxation in the gut that makes no logical sense. These are not random physiological events. They are placements. Your spirit team uses your nervous system as an instrument. Muscles, breath, posture, and rhythm become storage devices for instruction. What cannot be spoken is installed as feeling. What cannot be explained is imprinted as response. This is also why some mornings you wake up different, not emotionally dramatic, not intellectually inspired, just shifted. Your body is already moving differently. Your breathing is slower. Your shoulders drop without effort. Your walk feels steadier. These are not moods. They are calibrations. Your spirit team understands something your conscious mind resists. You cannot think your way into transformation. The body must be brought with you. And sleep is the only state where the body can be adjusted without defense. During the day, your system protects its patterns. Tension holds memory. Posture holds identity. Chronic tightness carries stories older than language. When you sleep, those defenses loosen. The body opens just enough for correction to occur. That opening is deliberate. Your spirit team does not erase sensation. They reorganize it. They move stored fear out of the chest and into release. They soften reflexes that once reacted automatically. They teach your body what safety feels like before your mind ever understands it. This is why emotional breakthroughs sometimes happen without tears. Why confidence arrives without explanation. Why you stop bracing for things that used to exhaust you. Your body learned something first. This anchoring process is subtle but powerful. Once guidance is stored in the body, it becomes instinct. You don't debate it. You don't question it. You simply move in alignment without conscious effort. That is the difference between knowing and being. It is also why ignoring the body weakens guidance. When people override fatigue, suppress sensation, or numb discomfort, they interrupt the anchor. The information still arrives, but it has nowhere to land. Your spirit team does not punish this. They wait. They understand timing. They understand readiness. They know when your body is open and when it is defended. And when the opening appears, even briefly, they work quickly and precisely. Have you ever felt exhausted for no clear reason, then woken up lighter the next day? That was not sleep debt. That was release. Have you ever felt sore or heavy after a night of intense dreams? That was not strain. That was integration. Your body was processing information too large for the mind to hold. This is also why healing through sleep feels permanent. Because once the body adapts, the mind follows. Old reactions lose their charge. Old fears no longer activate the same way. You don't have to remind yourself to be calm. Calm becomes default. Your spirit team anchors guidance here because the body does not lie. Thoughts can deceive. Beliefs can shift. Stories can change. But the body always tells the truth about alignment. When your body relaxes around a decision, that is guidance. When your body tightens without reason, that is guidance. When something feels right before it makes sense, that is guidance anchored at its source. Sleep is where this anchoring becomes possible. And this is why your spirit team works with your body first. Because once alignment is installed at that level, your life begins to reorganize naturally, without force, without struggle, without explanation. You are not just being guided, you are being embodied. And once guidance lives in the body, it cannot be argued away. 9. Silence is communication. Most people are waiting to hear something. A voice, a sign, a message they can recognize and explain. That waiting is what keeps them deaf. Your spirit team does not communicate through noise. They do not compete with thought. They do not shout over fear or force their way into attention. They speak through absence, through stillness, through the moments where nothing seems to be happening. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is bandwidth. When you sleep, the constant narration of the mind finally quiets. The inner commentary that labels, predicts, worries, and replays begins to dissolve. And as it fades, something else becomes possible, not because something new arrives, but because something unnecessary leaves. This is where communication begins. Your spirit team does not deliver guidance as sentences. Sentences belong to the conscious mind. They deliver guidance as state changes, shifts so subtle that the mind cannot grasp them, but the system responds immediately. This is why the most important nights feel uneventful. No dreams to remember, no visions to describe, no emotions to analyze. And yet you wake up different, calmer, clearer, less reactive. That difference is the message. Silence allows alignment to pass through without resistance. Words create interpretation. Interpretation creates distortion. Silence bypasses both. Your spirit team understands that the moment you hear something, you will try to define it. And the moment you define it, you will limit it. So they remove the need for definition altogether. They communicate by subtraction. They remove urgency. They remove fear. They remove false importance. What remains feels like clarity, but it is actually absence of interference. This is why silence can feel uncomfortable at first. The mind is addicted to stimulation. It equates noise with safety and stillness with danger. When sleep deepens and silence expands, the mind tries to pull you back through sudden thoughts, memories, or jolts of awareness. That is resistance. If you allow the silence instead of fighting it, the resistance dissolves. And when it dissolves, guidance enters effortlessly, not as information, as orientation. You suddenly know which direction not to go. You lose interest in paths that once consumed you. You feel a quiet confidence without proof. Nothing told you, nothing explained it, and yet the knowing is undeniable. This is the language of silence. Your spirit team uses silence because it cannot be argued with. There is no content to debate, no message to misinterpret. There is only a felt sense of rightness or wrongness, ease or friction, openness or contraction. This is also why silence lingers after sleep. You may notice that your mornings feel slower, quieter, less reactive. You are not numb, you are tuned. The mind hasn't fully reasserted control yet, and the residue of alignment remains. That residue is precious. It is guidance still echoing in the system. If you rush too quickly into noise, phones, conversation, stimulation, you drown it out. But if you stay with the silence, even briefly, it continues to inform your choices without effort. This is how intuition strengthens, not by learning more, by listening less. Your spirit team is not interested in overwhelming you. They are interested in precision. And silence is the most precise medium available. It carries no excess. It wastes no energy. It simply repositions you. Think about how often clarity arrives when you stop thinking about a problem, how solutions appear when you give up searching for them. That is not coincidence. That is alignment entering through the absence of mental noise. Silence is not passive. It is active intelligence without form. This is why meditation, rest, and deep sleep all feel similar at their deepest point. They are states where the mind releases control and allows guidance to operate directly. Your spirit team uses these states to fine-tune you. They quiet impulses that lead nowhere. They soften attachments that no longer serve you. They create space where something new can emerge naturally. And they do it without instruction. Because instruction creates dependency. Silence creates autonomy. Once you learn to recognize this, you stop chasing signs. You stop asking for confirmation. You stop needing reassurance. You trust the quiet pull that moves you without pressure. You realize that the calm you feel is not the absence of direction. It is direction without resistance. Silence is communication because it bypasses the mind entirely. It speaks to the part of you that already knows, the part that doesn't need proof, the part that existed before language and will exist after it. That is who your spirit team speaks to. And when they do, nothing dramatic happens. No announcement, no spectacle, just a life that begins to move with less friction. That is how you know the message was received. Not because you heard something, but because you stopped struggling against what was always meant to unfold. Silence did not mean nothing was said. Silence meant everything necessary was already understood. 10. You are being protected. Protection rarely looks like what people expect. Most imagine protection as rescue. Something dramatic, visible, undeniable. A force stepping in at the last moment to save them from disaster. But your spirit team does not work theatrically. They work surgically. Their protection happens before danger becomes visible. While you sleep, paths are quietly redirected. Choices lose their appeal. Opportunities dissolve without explanation. Conversations never happen. Timelines collapse before you ever step onto them. You call these things bad luck, missed chances, delays. They are none of those. They are interventions. Your spirit team does not protect you by shielding you from pain. They protect you by removing you from trajectories that would have demanded pain to teach you the same lesson. They understand outcomes long before you feel consequences. Sleep is when this protection is easiest to install. During the day, your will interferes. You chase what you want. You justify decisions. You override instinct with logic. At night, that interference disappears. The grip loosens. And in that loosened state, recalibration can occur. Protection is not force. It is repositioning. This is why some things fall apart while you sleep. You go to bed certain. You wake up unsure, not confused, detached. The emotional charge that drove you toward something is suddenly gone. The urgency dissolves. The obsession fades. Nothing replaced it. It simply no longer controls you. That absence is protection. Your spirit team knows that the most dangerous paths rarely look dangerous at first. They look exciting, validated, familiar. They feel like progress, but beneath them lie lessons you no longer need to repeat. So the pull is removed, not violently, quietly. This is also why protection can feel like loss. A door closes without explanation. A relationship fades. A plan unravels. The mind searches for meaning and finds none. The ego feels rejected, but the system feels oddly calm beneath the disappointment. That calm is the signal. Protection always carries relief at the nervous system level, even when the mind is unhappy. Your spirit team protects your energy before anything else, because drained energy leads to compromised decisions. Compromised decisions lead to unnecessary suffering, so they intervene early. When redirection is still gentle, they protect you from repeating cycles you have outgrown, from lessons you have already integrated, from futures that would have delayed your alignment, and they do it without asking permission. Not because they disregard your free will, but because your deeper awareness already agreed. This agreement exists beyond memory. It is why some temptations lose power overnight, why something that once felt essential suddenly feels wrong, why you wake up with a quiet refusal where desire once lived. You didn't change your mind. Your trajectory was corrected. Protection also works through delay. Things that arrive too early can destabilize you. Success without structure, connection without readiness, power without grounding. Your spirit team delays these not to punish you, but to preserve you. You may feel frustration. You may feel impatience, but beneath it all, there is steadiness. That steadiness is the signal that timing is being honored, even if logic can't see it. This is why forcing rarely works. When you push against protection, resistance increases, obstacles multiply, energy drains faster. The system is warning you without words. Protection does not shout, it obstructs. Your spirit team also protects you from versions of yourself that no longer serve you. Old identities dissolve, familiar reactions stop working. Strategies that once succeeded begin to fail. This is not regression, it is shedding. Outgrown versions become liabilities. Sleep is when these identities loosen their grip. The subconscious releases attachment to roles, patterns, and narratives that no longer match who you are becoming. You wake up less willing to tolerate what you once accepted. That is protection from stagnation. You are not being blocked. You are being preserved. Even moments of exhaustion can be protective. Fatigue forces you to stop, to rest, to reconsider. Burnout prevents deeper damage. The body knows when you are approaching a limit. The mind refuses to acknowledge. Your spirit team listens to the body. They work with sensation, timing, and emotional resonance. They create friction where harm would have occurred. They create emptiness where attachment would have trapped you. And they do it invisibly. That invisibility is intentional. If you could see every intervention, you would attempt to override it. You would negotiate. You would rationalize. You would return to the very path you were being guided away from. So protection arrives as neutrality. No drama, no explanation, just a quiet redirection. And later, sometimes much later, you understand. You look back and realize how close you were to something that would have cost you deeply. You see how effortlessly you were spared. You recognize that what felt like loss was actually preservation. But at the moment you only felt calm. That calm is the signature of protection. Your spirit team does not seek gratitude. They seek continuity. They protect the version of you that is still unfolding. They guard your trajectory more than your comfort. Sleep is where this guardianship operates best, where the ego cannot interfere, where fear cannot argue, where alignment can be installed without resistance. You are not drifting through life unguarded. You are being watched with precision. Every night, adjustments are made. Every night, certain doors quietly disappear. Every night, your path narrows toward what will cost you the least and teach you the most. Protection is not dramatic, it is exact. And the more you trust the calm that follows disruption, the more clearly you will feel it guiding you, without struggle, without fear, without force. You are not unlucky. You are not blocked. You are being protected in ways the mind is not meant to witness. And sleep is where that protection does its most important work. 11. You don't need to try. The greatest misunderstanding about guidance is the belief that it requires effort. Trying feels responsible. Trying feels spiritual. Trying feels like participation. But trying is the very thing that blocks reception. Your spirit team does not respond to force. They do not move closer when you concentrate harder, visualize more intensely, or strain to do it right. Effort belongs to the waking world. Guidance belongs to surrender. Sleep is the proof. Every night, without practice, without belief, without discipline, you enter the state where guidance becomes possible, not because you achieved it, but because you stopped interfering. This is the lesson most people resist. You were taught that growth requires struggle, that progress demands effort, that transformation must be earned through intensity, that belief trained your nervous system to stay activated, vigilant, braced. But guidance cannot enter a braced system. Your spirit team does not look for readiness in how much you do. They look for readiness in how much you can stop. When you sleep, you stop trying to be anything. You stop maintaining identity. You stop proving worth. You stop managing outcomes. And in that pause, alignment moves freely. This is why forcing spiritual experiences often leads to frustration. The mind tries to climb towards something that only opens when climbing stops. Trying creates tension. Tension creates noise. Noise drowns guidance. Your spirit team works through states of ease, not strain. They wait for moments when you are unguarded, softened, receptive. That is why insights often arrive when you are not looking for them. Why clarity comes in the shower, during a walk, or just before sleep. Not because you earned it, but because you were open. This is also why over-effort leads to burnout. Burnout is not weakness. It is the system forcing you to stop trying. It is the body creating stillness when the mind refuses to. Your spirit team uses these moments. When exhaustion strips away ambition, what remains is receptivity. When disappointment dissolves expectation, what remains is openness. When surrender replaces control, guidance finally has space to enter. This is not passive living. This is precise alignment. There is a difference between action and forcing. Action flows from alignment. Forcing comes from fear. Your spirit team does not guide fear. They guide coherence. Sleep teaches this lesson repeatedly. You don't try to sleep. You allow it. The moment you try to force sleep, it escapes you. The moment you release effort, it arrives naturally. Guidance works the same way. This is why rituals meant to summon guidance often fail. They introduce performance. Performance activates the ego. The ego blocks reception. Your spirit team does not need ceremony. They need space. When you stop reaching, you become reachable. This lesson can feel unsettling at first. The mind fears inactivity. It equates letting go with giving up. But surrender is not quitting. It is trusting a larger intelligence to operate where control fails. And here is the paradox. Once you stop trying, movement accelerates. Decisions become clearer. Actions feel effortless. Resistance dissolves. Not because you did less, but because you stopped working against alignment. Your spirit team teaches this gently through repetition. Each night, they show you that nothing collapses when you let go, that you do not disappear when effort stops, that you are held even when you are not holding yourself together. This rewires something deep. You begin to trust ease. You stop forcing timelines. You allow clarity to surface on its own. This does not make you passive. It makes you precise. You act when action is supported. You wait when waiting is aligned. You move without second guessing. Trying creates friction. Alignment removes it. Your spirit team is not impressed by struggle. They are interested in flow. They guide you toward the path of least resistance, because that path conserves energy for what actually matters. This is why life feels lighter when you stop trying to control it. Not easier, but truer. The effort you release does not vanish. It becomes availability, and availability is the doorway through which guidance enters. Sleep is your teacher here. Every night, it shows you that the most powerful shifts happen when you are not trying to make them happen. That transformation does not require tension. That alignment does not need force. You are not meant to strain your way into awakening. You are meant to relax into it. And once this lesson integrates, something fundamental changes. You stop chasing signs. You stop demanding certainty. You stop forcing answers. You listen. You allow. You move when moved. Your spirit team has always known this. That is why they meet you in sleep. The one state where you finally stop trying long enough to receive. 12. You will remember when it matters. This is the final lesson. The one that ties all the others together, and it is the one that most people overlook, because it defies the logic of memory, time, and expectation. Your spirit team does not hand you information like a book to read. They do not give you guidance in a way your conscious mind can fully grasp immediately. That is not their method. They work in timing far beyond comprehension. They work with a rhythm that your ego cannot anticipate, and a schedule that your identity cannot manage. Sleep is where this process begins, but memory is never the goal. Most people wake from a night of guidance and search for a trace. They want to remember the dream, the feeling, the whisper, or the insight, and often they find nothing. The mind complains. Why did I forget? Was it nothing? They feel panic, regret, or doubt. They misinterpret absence as failure. This is the exact illusion your spirit team designed. You are not meant to remember everything, because memory is linear and selective, and most insights are multidimensional. To deliver all of it at once would overwhelm your system. Your nervous system would resist. Your ego would reject it. Your identity would fight it. And the moment resistance rises, the guidance cannot land. So, memory is delayed. Clarity is deferred. Insight is delivered in fragments, in ripples, in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. You will notice shifts before you notice the source. You will feel alignment before understanding. You will act with certainty without ever recalling the teaching behind the choice. This is deliberate. This is precise. This is protection. Your spirit team knows that timing is everything. You are not being forgotten. You are being prepared to integrate guidance at the exact moment it will be most effective. You will remember when your system is ready, You will recall when the moment demands action. You will understand when clarity will serve transformation, not just curiosity. Think about your life. How often did a sudden insight come days or weeks after a dream, conversation, or encounter? How often did a solution appear fully formed when you least expected it, though the preparation had been happening silently beneath the surface? That is their work. That is memory in alignment. That is timing in the quantum field of consciousness. The universe is conspiring with your readiness. Your spirit team operates outside the linear flow of time, where past, present, and future are simultaneous. They deliver the pieces of guidance to the perfect moments. You are receiving downloads now that you will only decode later, when your consciousness is capable of understanding them fully. That is why impatience is the greatest barrier. So many awakenings are delayed not because guidance is absent, but because people demand immediate comprehension. They insist on clarity before readiness. They try to retrieve memories before their nervous system has integrated them. They chase meaning and miss the message. But you, who are listening now, are learning a different rhythm. You are learning trust without proof. You are learning surrender to timing. You are learning to allow guidance to settle in invisible ways, in invisible spaces, until you are capable of remembering without effort. Every sensation you feel in sleep, the weight in your chest, the pressure in your spine, the warmth in your hands, the strange sense of presence, is memory being stored. Not in the mind, but in your system. Not in words, but in states of being. Not in conscious recall, but in instinct, intuition, and alignment. And when the right moment comes, the memory will surface. You may wake with a sudden understanding, a flash of clarity, a decision that feels as if it has been waiting for you all along. You may feel compelled to act without knowing why. You may sense direction without reasoning. That is your system remembering. That is your spirit team delivering precisely what is required for evolution, exactly when it is required. Nothing is lost. Nothing is late. Nothing is random. Your inability to recall is not a failure of perception. It is a feature of preparation. It is a measure of your readiness. It is the design of a system that knows you cannot hold everything at once, but you can act when action matters, and you will. When the time comes to remember, it will not be a struggle. It will not be a forced retrieval. It will arrive naturally, fully formed, with certainty, clarity, and impact. You will recognize it instantly. You will trust it immediately. You will act without hesitation. And in that moment, the purpose of all the nights of invisible guidance will become clear. Your spirit team measures your growth, not by the number of dreams you recall, but by your capacity to integrate what is necessary. They watch over you unseen, preparing the system so that memory, insight, and action converge at the exact right point. That is their art. That is their work. That is their devotion to your evolution. So, do not chase memory. Do not worry if you forget. Do not demand understanding prematurely. Do not measure guidance by what appears in conscious thought. Measure it by what shifts within you, silently, steadily, imperceptibly. You are being prepared. You are being aligned. You are being positioned for moments you cannot yet imagine. And when the time comes to remember, you will not only remember, you will act fully, decisively, and aligned, because your system will already have absorbed everything necessary. Sleep is not forgetfulness. Sleep is storage. Sleep is preparation. Sleep is calibration. The guidance you seek is not lost. It is simply waiting for you to be ready. And when you are, you will remember everything that matters, with precision, clarity, and purpose. This is the final lesson. Memory is not the signal. Alignment is. Timing is. Integration is. And all of it is orchestrated by forces that exist beyond your mind, beyond your control, and beyond the limits of linear time. You do not need to remember now. You only need to trust. You only need to allow. You only need to sleep. And when the moment arrives, when it truly matters, you will remember everything, and it will be perfect. You are not alone. You are never late. You are always guided. And that is the ultimate lesson your spirit team wants you to know. Now you know the truth. Every night, while you sleep, your spirit team is working behind the veil. They are guiding you, protecting you, and preparing you for the person you are meant to become. You are never alone. You are never unprepared. Every feeling, every dream, every subtle shift in your body and mind is part of a divine alignment designed for your highest path. The lessons you've just received are not ideas to memorize. They are states to integrate. Watch how your awareness changes. Notice how your decisions flow with ease. Feel the calm certainty that arrives without explanation. That is your spirit team at work, and it is always precise, always intentional, always real. The question is, will you trust it? Will you surrender to the guidance that is already moving through you, even when it seems invisible, even when you don't understand it yet? Tonight, as you sleep, remember this: you are being guided, you are being prepared, and you will remember exactly when it matters. Embrace the silence. Feel the presence. Let go and allow the unseen to rewrite your reality. Your journey is no longer about trying to control life. It's about allowing the universe and your spirit team to move you into the life you were always meant to live. Sleep deeply, receive fully, awaken aligned.